Welcome back to Frankie Off Grid. If you're new here, we're Carissa and Iwan, and back in 2020 we moved from North Wales and bought a small plot of land with an old granite stone ruin in central Portugal. This week we travelled back to North Wales to visit friends and family. The toughest part of moving away has been missing our loved ones, so it was wonderful to get to see them all and to escape the heat of summer in Portugal, which can be quite brutal in our region. The long drive back had us pondering over our decision to uproot our lives as we drove the whole length of France into Spain and then Portugal. But first, let's stop briefly in North Wales. Hello and welcome back to another video. Though the sun is shining, we are not in central Portugal, we are actually in sunny North Wales. We've come back for one of my friend's weddings and actually to escape the heat. And I'm not with you on today, I'm with someone who some of you may have met before. It's my niece Olive, and we're going to do some cooking in my sister's beautiful kitchen. So this video is actually sponsored by HelloFresh, and Olive's going to help me to make something. They send you all the ingredients directly to your door. Olive, shall we try these Super Plus inspired pork noodles? Some of you may know, Iwan is the chef in our house. So yeah, one of the benefits is they have on the back, they're really easy to follow steps. So me and Olive can do it. So that was absolutely delicious and super easy to put together. Thank you to my sous chef Olive. And if you are interested in ordering a HelloFresh box, you can scan the QR code here and you'll get our offer, which is 60% off your first box and 25% off your next 8 boxes. I really hope you enjoy using HelloFresh. They're really delicious, super convenient, and having everything delivered to your door is just makes life a lot simpler. We're all after a simpler life, so I hope you enjoy them. After the very beautiful wedding of one of my best friends, and after many beach walks, mostly in the rain, we decided we missed the sunshine and our peaceful little corner of the world too much and started the long drive from one place we call home to another place we call home. The untranslatable Welsh word hiraeth, which is similar to the Portuguese word of saudade, the closest translation in English is a blend of nostalgia and homesickness. It's a word loaded with the history of Wales, which is why it's hard to translate the depth of its meaning, but it's a word that kept coming to mind as we drove the roads that on one side bordered the coastline and wild sea, and the other side led to the hills and mountains. There's always a twinge of sadness when we leave Wales. It's a pretty special place and one I was adamant I wouldn't leave again, but during the lockdowns in 2020 and the increasing struggle to get on the housing market and soaring rental prices, uprooting our lives and moving to central Portugal struck us as a very good idea. The region we're living in, Castelo Branco, and many other rural regions in Portugal are losing its population as people lose interest in life outside of the cities and the need to find jobs. Luckily, Ewan and myself were both working online from home and had location freedom. The decreasing population means land and housing prices have dropped, and that for us was the draw. Apart from the 300 days of sunshine, of course. The cold and rainy July days in North Wales were a bit of a shock. I'd forgotten how grim summer could be, and the grey sky and drizzle followed us throughout the UK as we drove to Folkestone to catch the Eurotunnel and into northern France. It wasn't until we were south of Bordeaux that summer and blue skies finally returned. We always say that summer is the toughest part of living here, with temperatures last year reaching 46 degrees Celsius. But I couldn't wait to get back to the blue skies. I had acclimatised to the heat and the 15 degrees in Wales felt bitterly cold, Ewan's mum giggling as we asked her for the heating to be put on, and my request for a hat to beat the icy wind that bit at my ears on our beach walks. Driving back into Portugal felt more of a homecoming than driving into North Wales had. We were relieved to be back, and our muscles that had been tensed against the cold relaxed in the warm air. Things I miss about Wales, aside from our beautiful friends and family, are crumpets, brown sauce, fish and chips with malt vinegar, the friendliness of staff in shops and cafes, and the seaside and mountains we were always so lucky to have on our doorstep. The things I noticed I really didn't miss was the busyness, the terrible traffic and claustrophobia of so many people, and as we spoke to friends whose rent and cost of living were increasing, and as we sat inside watching the rain wash the windows, we realised we'd made a brilliant decision to uproot our lives and move to Portugal. The last couple of years have been tough, I won't lie. We've had a lot to learn and a lot of bumps in the road. Seeing friends who thought our decision either mad, brave or brilliant, all of them correct, and answering many questions of how was it all going had us sharing the hardships but also just how brilliant it was to be building our own home. Learning all these skills we never thought we'd learn, picking our own olives for olive oil, making our own wine. We get to live a quieter life. There's a lot of work as we still work on the foundations of it all, but the ponderings on our 3-day drive home have made us even more excited to carry on. Good morning, we are home and it feels so good. I'm always a little bit worried when we go away and live in normal houses with running water and all the conveniences that will come back and feel more frustrated, but I do not. I will take the lack of those conveniences just for how peaceful and warm and yeah, just so at home I feel. So it's been really nice to come back and feel good being here, even though it's hot. It's really mild for this time of year. We've got a hot weekend coming up, so yeah, the warmth just feels really good after being so cold in Wales. The first thing I did when we got back was water the garden. It's all I've been thinking about is my poor garden because we don't have irrigation, so it's just been a case of whatever survives. These 2 weeks survives, and I'm actually quite impressed. I think it's been a really good experiment for what can really thrive in this climate. So good to be back on our little homestead. I'm very, very happy to be home if you can't tell. So it's very sunny. This is the raised bed area. We put all the pots here because the plan was, because our friend Thomas was coming to check on the cats, that he could just give the plants a little bit of water whenever he came up, but at 10 p.m. before we set off, so we left at 3 a.m. on the Friday, at 10 p.m. the water pump just stopped working. It wasn't like holding the pressure, and when the water pump's on, it's pulling like 500 watts of power out of our power bank, so we just had to turn it off and leave it. We need to replace the pipe. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of brownness going on. I'm going to come in and give everything some TLC, but the courgette plants surprisingly are still alive. We have a huge marrow, and then the ones that are left are just sort of drying up and dying, so I'll come and take those off and maybe it'll start producing again. And then this pepper just got completely sunburnt. Tomatoes, just amazing. I'll show you around here. I'm going to come and harvest all of these, but I really thought the tomatoes would just die. But they haven't, and they've not even split, because if you have inconsistent watering they normally struggle. Pumpkins have really struggled, but I think that's just because they got so big, so I'm going to cut back a lot of the growth because it's got sort of 3 stalks coming off it, and this one turns into this one, so this has still got a lot of greenery on, and there's a few small pumpkins on that. And then we have, this is one of the tomatoes that Nick and Ange gave us, so they stay orange like this. This squash as well, the same. It's got lots of different stems coming off it, some of that's died, so I'll just cut that back. But again, this one has actually produced a very strange looking squash. I think it's got a bit of sunburn. And then again, this courgette plant is still alive. It needs a lot cutting back, but it has produced an absolute beast here. This is a tomato plant that Sarah from Lucas Sarah's Off-Grid Life gave us. She said they're the best tomatoes, and there's one in there and that survived. I always worry about them being in pots. So yeah, I am very, very happy with how this garden has pulled through with like, it's nearly 2 weeks that they haven't been watered.
Should we go see friends?
Just on our way to get the chickens back. Can't wait to squash them. So Iwan's got our chuckies.
These are our 5.
How are you doing, girls? And then we may accidentally have adopted this little fella. Hello. He's beautiful. I was a little unsure of getting a rooster, but he's a handsome one.
His name's going to be Virgil.
Virgil?
Yeah.
Virgil.
Because he's the captain of Liverpool. And
I thought you wanted to call the rooster Henny or Hendo.
But Hendo's left.
Oh, okay.
Hendo's gone to Saudi Arabia. So,
Yeah, Moby.
Virgil van Dijk.
So thank you for looking after the girls.
That's quite.
And now,
right.
now you've found them a husband as well.
No, but his little beers are absolutely fine. There you go, Virg.
Aww,
This is your new.
just family member.
It's going to be fun.
Let's just let them come out and see what happens.
Welcome, Virg.
Welcome home, girls.
Dogs.
Can't believe we've got a cock. Hi. Hi, handsome. If you're new here, our chickens are named, well, we started out with 4. One is called Ali, after Alicia, someone who is very special to us and has helped us out a lot with our project, so she was an honorary chicken. Then we had Izzy, who died, who my niece Olive named. And then we had Mo and Bobby,
Yeah.
named after Mo Salah and Bobby Firmino. And if you watch football, then you may see a theme here. Iwan is naming all our chickens after Liverpool football players. We then got Andy, who is Andy
Robertson.
after Izzy passed. I asked Olive to name another chicken for us, and she decided Baby Gareth would be a great name for a hen, so...
And make sure to unlike and unsubscribe.
And the rooster Iwan has now called Virgil, after Virgil van Dijk. He looks good in there.
It does.
I was a little bit against getting a cockerel, but I'm quite excited. It feels like a proper farm now. We've got...
Good afternoon, everybody. How are you all doing? It's great to be back. Slowly approaching 3 years here now, and it really does feel like home. Great to go back to Wales. Great to see everybody. Like Carissa mentioned earlier in the video, Hiraeth is definitely a thing for coming back to Portugal too. Yeah, loads of exciting projects that we need to get started on, and some ones we need to get finished. The longest driveway project Portugal's ever seen. We definitely will get that done. It's going to be a busy few months leading up to winter for us. Huge thanks also to Nick and Ange from Project Portugal, who looked after our chickens and then gave us another one. Also to Thomas for popping around and topping up the automatic cat feeder, which was a huge success. So yeah, thanks guys. Awesome to have a good community around us. It really does make a difference. Thanks for watching, and we will see you next week.